Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the third video, and in this video we're finally going to put some stuff into our database. This is going to be a little bit longer, but no worries. What we've got over here is a new file called routes, which we're going to end up putting some stuff in just a minute. But before we do that, we got to do a little housekeeping here. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in all of my modules. So the modules that I'm currently not linked to, we got the routes, the models, and the schema. I haven't done anything with these yet. And what you're going to notice is we're going to get some errors here. So we're going to get errors here, and we're going to get an error here. And the reason is we haven't added the following. This is going to be all the macros from Diesel that we're allowed to use, things like queryable and insertable. We didn't actually have those linked in yet, so we weren't getting errors here because the file was just sitting off there. It wasn't really part of the project. It was just kind of a file. But once we have imported using the module here, we're going to end up linking it back to the project, the main file, which means that then it's going to spit out errors. So we took care of that. The next thing we want to do is we actually want to use this routes file. So I'm going to cut this out here, and I'm going to paste that into here. Okay. Of course, we're going to get some errors because we don't have these things defined in here. So I'll come back and I will copy. I'll copy these, and let's just go ahead and paste those in. But there's going to be some things I don't need, like I don't need app, and I don't need the HTTP server, and I don't need web. Okay, so right now that's good. I still need the status code, and I can come back here and I can get rid of those things. We can do that. Okay, and that's good. And status code, I don't need that here anymore. All right, good. So I've got rid of everything. I do need to let's go back to home, insert, and that's going to be routes. There we go. One thing I'm going to need to do with all of these is they're actually going to need to be public. So when you move something to another file like that, you've got to make it public so that you can use it within the other file in main or someplace else. By default, they're going to be private. Okay, so now that we've kind of moved some things around, we've shuffled a little bit. What we are going to be able to do is actually start connecting everything together. So let's go ahead and add our Diesel stuff so we have some connection to the database. So the things that we're going to use Diesel, and we're going to use R2D2, and this is going to be self and connection manager. And we're going to use Diesel again, and we're going to grab SQLite connection this time. All right, cool. So we are now going to create the pool. So what a pool is, if you've never encountered this before, you can kind of think of it like this. So on one end, you've got Actix Web, or your web server. And the web server needs to talk to the database, right? Now, if your web server happens to be async, that means it can handle a lot of different stuff. So simultaneously or semi whatever, it can handle stuff at the same time. You're going to be running. Oh crap! What am I doing here? What am I missing? Oh, that's what I'm missing. All right, so it can handle doing stuff at the same time, which means you might have multiple people querying the database or multiple people trying to put stuff into the database at the same time. The issue with that is whenever Actix Web, for example, connect to the database, it's going to have to make a connection. So it actually creates the connection with the database, and then when it's done, it does a query, or it puts something in the database, it's going to kill that connection. Doing that a lot, creating the connection and destroying the connection, costs a lot, meaning it's going to waste a lot of CPU cycles. It's very wasteful. So what the pool does is it spins up a bunch of connections, and it lets you share those connections as needed. So maybe 10 people are accessing the site at the same time, but the pool has access to 20 SQL-like connections. It can really easily just pull those, like, assign connections to whatever query or whatever the person wants to do, and deal with that. And then it leaves that connection open for later. All right, so it makes everything work a lot more. It's a lot quicker. You don't have to wait for things to spin up in between queries and things like that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and add this. All right. Let me walk through what we're doing here. Database not found. All right, we're getting good. All right, no errors. All right, so I added this here. This is the dot environment. What this is saying is load that .env file we have. So if you remember, we made this early on, and this is just telling you that we're referencing the app.db. And once you do that, you can then use the just the standard library here, and you can access the environment variable database URL. So make sure this and whatever's in your .env file are exactly the same. All right, if we don't find it, of course, we spit out an error message. And now we can use that database, and we can create our pool. So we're going to create our pool using something called pool builder. Okay, and we will build the connection manager and SQL like connection. Oh. Okay. Yeah, new and database URL. Okay. All right, sweet. Let me space this out just a little bit here. Need some. All right, cool. So, yeah, it's all good. So we've created the database pool using. So this is the pool builder is going to set it up. It connects to this particular with using an SQLite connection. Connects to this database URL, which of course we assigned right here. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. This is pretty straightforward, I think, at this point. Let's go ahead and connect it. So at the moment, really all we've done is we've connected the database to the database pool, to R2D2, which is great, but we haven't connected Actix Web to it. So now we need to connect Actix Web to it, which is much easier than you might think. All you have to do is this dot data, and it's going to be database pool dot clone, and we are done. Okay, that is it. Why am I getting an error on that? No method named clone found for database pool. Huh? That doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, I know what I'm missing here. My bad. I forgot to unwrap this. There we go. Okay, now it should work. Yep. All right, cool. So we unwrap that, and now we just do this, and now all the things are connected. So what's happening here is when I call this app and when I do this, I have the ability to pass in this database pool if I want. So later on, you'll actually see this over here, this route. I haven't passed the database in, passing nothing into this. So you don't get to use the database there, or the pool rather. But here, I have the option now. I've assigned this. So what we're going to do is actually create a new route. Okay, and this route is going to be called add link, and it's going to be web post .to routes and add. I'm going to make the links properly formatted. Okay, so we get this. There. All right, and we're going to get an error here. Oh, not dot. we're going to get an error because I typed something stupid. We're going to get an error over here because there is no function yet add link. Okay, so I'm hoping this makes sense up to this point. We've created our pool. We've got the database URL out. We connected the pool to the database, and then we connected the database pool to the server. So think of it, server, pool, database. All right, and we're good. All right, so let's go over to routes and let's actually try to create this route. Okay, so nothing wrong with home at the moment, but we're going to do pub. So let me switch this over here. We've got pub async fn add link, and what we're going to need to do is actually send in the pool. So we're going to do this, and this is going to take web data pool, and I'm going to have to pass back in the web, and this is the item that we're going to want to add, which in our case is going to be a link. I'm not going to name it link because that word is being used. It's going to be used in just a minute here. Okay. Result HTTP response, and we're going to get an error. We're also going to need to fix some of this error stuff here. What I found was I couldn't actually, let's see, hold on. I needed to wrap some of these errors in order to make them play nicely with each other. And you're actually going to find that is quite common with Rust, is getting, especially async, where you're always returning, turning a result. You're going to find that the errors don't match up. Like this error is not compatible, can't convert this error to that error, and you've got to deal with it somehow. So before we go on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one more library here, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Okay, yeah, it's the anyhow. And if you want to take a look at what this does, feel free. All I know at the moment, all I can really say is it makes my life a lot easier when I am trying to convert errors. It basically lets you do the conversion. So I'm going to say use anyhow result. Okay, we've also got a couple other things we need to put in here. I'm going to need to bring in some more diesel stuff. I'm going to need to bring in my pool. So I'm going to say use create pool. This is pulling, if we go back to main, that's pulling this right here. So that's where that's coming from. Okay, okay, whoa, there we go. All right, so we got that, and we also need to bring in link JSON. So I'm going to pull in all of, let's move that up. Let's move that crate up to the top. And what I'm going to do is grab all of my models, because we're eventually going to use them all. So we've got link, link JSON, and link new. Okay, so that's good. And what else do we need? We're going to need some of the diesel stuff, I believe. So let's go ahead and grab those while we're up here. This is for the query. Yeah, we'll need this as well. Run query DSL, use diesel. This is just going to help us. This right here actually just is going to help us be able to insert. Well, insert into is, I think, pretty obvious what we need it for. But these other ones are going to help us do our queries in just a minute. And because when we're done doing the add link, we want to return what we just added. Unfortunately, SQLite does not allow you to easily do that. You actually have to insert and then pull it out after you're done, which is kind of lame, but whatever. In Postgres and other databases, you can actually get back the exact object or the exact row that you just stuck in. You can actually get that back out. And when I say object, I'm talking about you're going to get the struct back in this case, or the instance of that. Okay, so finally, we're going to add our link. We had to add tons of stuff to do this, but so be it. So here is the interesting thing about working with diesel, and in our case, we're going to have some more interesting stuff working with SQLite. When you add something into the database, you have to do it synchronously because Diesel works synchronously. The problem is Actix Web is async. So because it's async, you have to have a way in order to tell it to stop all of the other threads in the thread pool and then focus on doing the database action, which is going to be blocking. Okay, so it's going to block all the other stuff from running. It needs to block until that gets done. When the insert is done, then we can come back and we can let Actix do all of its stuff. So it's good and it's not so good, but Diesel gives you a lot of power to do other stuff. Maybe they'll make some stuff that's, that works better with async later on. I don't know, but for now, this is how it's got to be. So to do that, there's a really handy function called web block, and that's just gonna tell us here just to block on what we're doing. And I'm gonna make this function called add single link. So I can't do it in here. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a synchronous function, and I'm gonna pass it in pool and item. Okay. And for right now, this is going to be .await, .map, and actually let's just go ahead. I'm going to leave this off for just a second. You notice it's going to throw up some errors because we haven't returned an HTTP response yet, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to put that in a minute once we see how we add a single link, because hopefully that'll make more sense the next two lines after this. Right now, this should make sense. We're blocking on this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add a single link. This is going to be a blocking call, and we're going to say we don't need pub here because we're calling from within the file, so we can say add single link. Okay, and this actually is going to get the same things that these do. Okay, so that comes in. The only difference is here we have a link because we're going to be returning a link when we're done. And the possibility here is going to be a Diesel error. Okay. All right, cool. So when we're doing this, first thing I want to do is I'm going to use this. I'm going to say use create schema links DSL and star. And I think I can just throw this up top actually. Let's go up here. All right. Cool. So we're going to do that, and we're going to say let db connection is equal to pool.get.unwrap. So this is saying grab a connection from our pool, which we passed in, yay, and now we got to do something with it. So what we're going to do, and this is what this up here is doing. This allows us to grab to grab links, to grab this schema from here, and I can actually match on it. So this will be kind of interesting. So we do match links. Okay, and ooh, I didn't like that one bit there. There we go. Match links. Okay. No, we don't want that. There we go. Okay. We're going to filter on whatever we can grab from here. And what we're going to try to grab is following. So we're going to filter on link is equal to the item. Okay, and this is us checking to make sure that this is here or not. Okay, so first, I'll explain this in just a second here. Let me type this in, link and db connection. Cool. All right, so what's happening here is I'm going to match on what I'm pulling from the links table. I'm going to filter by anything that is equal to this current item. Because we don't want to add duplicate links, I'm going to search by the item that we're passing in currently. If that link is already there, we're not going to put something in. If there is something there, or sorry, if there's not something there, we're going to put the link in. If there is something there, we just want to do nothing, essentially. Okay. So what we can do is we can say okay result. If that means yay, it succeeded, it found something in the database, it really means we already put that thing in there, so we don't need to do that again. All right. But if there's an error, okay, and so this right here, this is poor form on my part. We should be checking to make sure that the error is the item's not found. I haven't done that. So for right now, we're just going to say any error. If there's any error, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to put it in. So I'm going to say let new link is equal to link new. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, okay, that's what we want. Link, and we're going to take the information from the item we have, and we're going to say link, and we're going to say at link item.title, and we're going to say date created, and I'm going to have to import one more library here because I have forgotten to import the chrono library, which I'm going to use right now. So it's going to be, oh geez, chrono local now, and let's pop it in here, naive local. All right, cool. So we've got that in there, and that's going to be there. And cool. All right. So we're getting a bunch of errors on here. What am I getting here? Expected. Yeah, still, this is really just saying for the moment, this is not a result. That's fine because I haven't actually given it the result. We've got to do a little bit more work in here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the chrono library, which I'm trying to remember what version I used. Okay, it's going to be chrono is equal to 0.4.15. All right, cool. And let's come back here. All right, so what we've done now is we've checked once again, we filtered, see if it's there. If it isn't there, it means we got an error, we didn't find it. We're going to create the new link based on the information we passed in from here. So this is the stuff that's getting passed in from the front end of the website or something like that. And what we got to do now is we've actually got to return the value itself. Okay, so I'm going to say insert into. We're going to put it into links. This is, there we go. All right, and values. We're putting in new link, and we're going to execute it. If you're doing this with Postgres, it's actually much easier, I think. You don't need all of this extra stuff, but unfortunately, this is just the way it is. There's going to be, with SQLite, error saving post, or error saving new link. There we go, and done. All right, so we put it in. As I said before, the unfortunate thing is we don't have a way of getting it out. Move that, it's annoying. Moving it out without the following. Okay, so let result equal links dot order, and this is how we're going to get it out, which is kind of not optimal, but just the way it is. DB connection dot unwrap. Because we need a link result. This gives us a link result because it found the link actually in the database, but we don't have a link result right now. So I've got to dig it out, and then I can do this. Okay, result. And now you notice all that terrible stuff goes away, and I've only got this error left up here. And they've got this error left up here because I still haven't dealt with what's coming back from here. I've got the await, but I don't have an HTTP response, so I'm not returning an HTTP response. So let's go ahead and do that. this is going to say map, and the map is going to take whatever comes back from this add single link, and we're just going to call that link. Okay, so that's the value we're going to give that's something coming back, and whatever that is, we're going to create an HTTP response, and we're going to convert that item into JSON, and we're going to spit it back out. If there is an error, okay, and this is, you could technically run it without this, but we'll do it the correct way here. Internal server error. All right. Let's see. I think I'm gonna get an error here because I'm using this variable when I shouldn't be. So what I actually need to do is I do need to put this down here. So what's happening was, let's see if that's gonna fix it. Oh, maybe I didn't, but I feel like I should be getting an error there. All right, cool. I don't know. Let me test this out here. Let's test this out. So this was up at 10. Yeah. So when I put this here, because this is actually now thinking that this is a global variable referring to the table here, I can't actually put that up top. I've got to put it down here so that it is locally scoped, so that this links referring to the table links, while let's see, is that, yeah. That doesn't make sense because that's link and that's links. I'm not sure why it threw an error on that. Anyways, this is how I had it before. Maybe I'll put a comment in seeing if I can figure out exactly why this needs to be in here as opposed to up there, and why that would impact this. Okay. So at the moment, let's walk through this really quick. We've got this part up here. Hopefully we understand now that we're figuring out if we have it in the database or not. We create a new link based on the information that was sent in from the outside, which we'll test in just a second. Then we insert it into the database, and then we check the results. We grab the result back from the database. So we look at all the links, we order them in descending, so we take the most recent primary key, and then we grab that and we return it in order to satisfy the fact that we need to, for add single link, return the link within, return the HTTP response, and we're returning the link with that HTTP response. Do I need to do that? No, but it actually, it can be quite useful on the user side to know that you actually added something. So if I'm making a list of stuff, I'm throwing those links in a list, I would want to know that that what I'm looking at on the page for all those links actually matches what's in the database. And I would only know that if I get the result back, or if I requery to check if that thing is actually there. But it's easier just to have it send a message confirming that everything has been done correctly and you got something in the database. If I don't get it back, then I know not to add it to my list on the user side. Okay, you can add it to the list on the user side and then send it off. But if you don't get the response back, you're going to need to go and clean that up, all right? Because you want what's on the user side to match what's on the server side. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and come down here, and let's go ahead and build this. It's going to have a couple more things. Just got this anyhow, and then the chrono libraries to go ahead and compile. And what we're going to do next is we are going to test things out. All right, so let's do cargo build. Cargo run. And oh, we got an error. Address is already in use. Crap. Did I have? Let's see. That's gonna be that. Right now, there it is. 21-9, 21259. Okay, cool. That should have killed it. Let's go ahead and run it again. Sweet, we are running. So let me go ahead and clear all that stuff. And let's actually, we can post. So actually, I think I already have it saved here. Yeah, right here. So we're going to go ahead and post it to add link. So I've created the data. So I just used link and this website. I don't even know where this goes. Doesn't matter. Title. We've got the content type as JSON, and if we run this, we will see here that this is what gets sent back to us. So it actually added it and it threw the date on, and it's amazing. Got everything back exactly the way we wanted it. Okay. All right. That takes us to the end of this one. We've got stuff being posted to the database. Now we have to get stuff back out. So in the next video, we're just going to grab all of our links, which is actually pretty easy. And that'll take us to the end of this tutorial. All right, cool. I will see you next video. Thanks for watching.